Hello, everyone. This is Old School from WhatTheBuc.net on the last day that's open to the public for training camp, other than the Saturday night practice, which has me a little bit bittersweet. Sorry for the tardiness for this. I expected to be able to do this sort of on location at a wing establishment, but the internet connection was too poor. With that being said, here is my feedback from today's practice session. Overall, very good tempo. I thought it was a far more crisp practice. Looks like the team took to heart the message from Coach Morris on yesterday's practice, and really, all in all, throughout all of the drills that I saw today, had a much better tempo going on. There was a lot more attention to detail. Now, that doesn't mean that it was perfect. It doesn't mean there wasn't some laziness here and there that I'll talk about in the rest of the presentation. But all in all, it was a heck of a good practice. There was also a lot less of that domination by the defense today. Now, there wasn't full go. We didn't have goal line. We didn't have those things. But when we were running 11-on-11s and 9-on-9s where there was some contact, the offense actually was able to complete some passes, execute on some running plays, and I saw some of the offensive line really kind of getting their back up a little bit. And the money that we spent on Donald Penn looks like it, I thought it would be, and it looks like it is well spent. He once again knocked someone the hell out today, more or less. I forgot who it was, but hopefully when I get through my notes, I've got it jotted down. I know I made mention of it in the stands when we were watching it. I'm pretty sure it was Quincy Black, but we'll talk about it because that play is something that we saw quite a bit. So the other thing we noticed at practice today was some trick plays, whether it was the surprise pooch kick, fake field goals, and there was a particular hook and ladder that I want to talk about. Essentially, the way this play lined up is you had a trips bunch, you threw the ball to the tight end who was in the middle position, dragging across, and you had a receiver coming underneath him. Typical hook and ladder. Now, where this differed was, actually, yes, that's correct. Where this differed was, you actually ended up with the ball on the offside after the lateral, and the ball ended up getting thrown all the way back across the field to a receiver who had drifted back. Your offensive line has now been able to move downfield and not be illegal. It is a setup. I thought when I first tweeted about this that this was an end-of-the-game, last-minute desperation play. I don't know that that's true. I think this may actually be a design play where you run the hook and ladder, and then you throw the ball back across the field to the opposite side, and you've got your whole damn offensive line trucking down the field. They ran it once, and it actually looked very good. I don't quite understand why we're working on that sort of stuff. I joked around that Sam Weish was on line 2 or line 1, but they did spend some time working on it. It wasn't just a passing fancy. Now, I mentioned earlier in one of the reports that Brett Bowden has a pretty good arm, and we saw it today in fake field goal, and it was successful the first time to Jeremy Stevens. And from that point on, and this is a little frustrating, they insisted on rolling him out to his left. Now, for a quarterback full time, that's a tough throw if you're a right-handed quarterback. You're rolling against your strong arm. You got to square your shoulders and make the pass. Additionally, they were running the route so far down the field, he's having to make a 25-yard throw, scrambling to his left with pressure. While I love the idea of using him in these situations for an occasional fake field goal, because I think the kid's got a pretty good arm, let's maximize your chance for success. Anyway, practice broke out the way it normally did. They had their individual drills, blocking slides, and gap work was all about. Sammy Strouder had another tough practice, a couple of good catches here and there, but all in all, he has not looked particularly sharp in training camp, though that has not dissuaded them from having him as the number 1 slot receiver. When the ones were running, we had Mike Williams, Maurice Stovall, Kellen Winslow, Sammy Strouder, and then we had, actually, Derek Ward took some first-team reps today, but I don't think that was any sort of a indication. What they did originally when they got back on the field for that set was they were doing 2-minute no-defense drills. The offense would march down the field like it was in a 2-minute drill, and the plays looked crisp. The thing I didn't like to see was the receivers on the off routes, the non-primary or secondary routes, were kind of dragging, and that may just be a vestige of it being training camp. It may be because they know they're working on install, but I like to see all of the receivers running their routes as if they're going to be the guy that is going to get the ball. I tweeted this as well, and I've got the notes highlighted here. I've got to make mention of it. Mike Clayton had a ridiculous practice today. Not a Mike Clayton fan. I think we've already invested too much in the guy, but he had some catches today that were just absolutely sick. In general, the receivers did well, but Mike Clayton probably had the best practice of anyone on the field today from a receiver's perspective. He didn't flash as much as some of the other guys, and as the practice wore on, I think you saw Mike Williams and Aurelius Ben making some nice plays as we got close to the red zone. Spurlock had some nice catches, but Clayton, all in all, had a hell of a practice. I think you'll see a lot of Clayton in the preseason as they make their decisions, and by Urrutia being out and sort of giving them a pass on some of these hard decisions they've got to make at the receiving corps, we may end up stuck with the guy again. Other notes, Jeremy Zuto was taking first-team snaps at left guard. We did not see Kedrick Vincent taking those snaps. We saw Zuto, and he actually did fairly well. There was no Brian Price today. There was no Peanut Smith. There was no Urrutia. According to a couple of folks that I spoke to who spoke to Brian and to Clifton, both of them are okay. They're just resting their hamstrings, which are a little bit sore. They ran a bunch of 9-on-9s to work on their rushing plays, and Quincy Black and Geno Hayes are popping on every play. They really are. They look terrific. That's not to say Barrett doesn't look good. Barrett's calling the plays, but the ones who are flashing are Quincy and Geno. The secondary did a fairly good job today. Keith Talib was roaming and ruling the defensive backfield. He did get beat once on a double move to the post by Aurelius Ben. But again, these are a little bit unrealistic to have them out on an island like that. He had no safety help because of the drill they were running. That was the only time I saw him beat. A couple people asked about Taylor, the gigantic fullback. I watched him truck my dark horse candidate on the linebacking spot, John Alston, on a fullback or a halfback trap. He pulled in there and just absolutely planted Alston on the ground. Ryan Sims is putting in some good work on the defensive line. I know we've spoken a lot about Brian Price and Gerald McCoy and the guys who legitimately should get a lot of the press, Roy Miller. But Ryan Sims is quietly having a pretty good camp, too. He was getting double-teamed today and was doing some nice recovery. The other person who stood out today, McCoy had a nice camp, getting some good penetration. Styles White had a nice day, so did Kyle Moore. The defensive line looked good. I think the offense just upped their game, specifically the offensive line, and we're picking up a lot more of that. They were still getting some upfield pressure, but the offense was able to operate. The quarterback had some time to actually deliver the ball instead of getting sacked. The guy who's holding the ball the longest right now is Josh Johnson. He's got to get out of that habit. I appreciate that he's working through his progressions, but damn it, you've got to get rid of the ball. You cannot hold the ball that long or you're going to end up getting sacked. Michael Bennett setting his edge really well in a couple of these plays, and they were trying to bounce it outside, caused some serious losses in yardage. I noticed from a route perspective, a lot of the groundwork that they laid early in the week with regards to the tight end corner routes, the seam routes, these foundational pieces that they're working on during the install as we got into the 11-on-11s and the 7-on-7s even for the receiving sets, we saw those working their way in, and the practice paid off, which was nice to see. So that is absolutely outstanding to see those things work through. Other notes that I've got, Kellen Winslow actually converted one of those corner routes to a TD, which was great to see that come through. E.J. Biggers is making a case right now. Myron Lewis had a good day yesterday. I didn't see a lot out of Myron today. In fact, I don't think he was dressed towards the end of the day. I don't know if he came out dressed or whether he didn't. I can't remember. But E.J. Biggers is making a solid statement to get more playing time. He had a couple of different plays where he had good breaks on the ball. We didn't have as many dropped interceptions. We had some. Aqib made a couple of picks. Biggers made a couple of picks, I believe. And I believe that Albert Mack had a pick as well on the double move to the corner. He ended up getting underneath the receiver, which was nice. A couple people had asked me about Dakota Watson. I was watching for him some today. To be honest, he looks like a rookie. He's out of position. When he's out of position, he's not making up for it by getting back into position quickly enough. Small sample set. I didn't see him in a lot of snaps. So that's the young guy's got a lot of things he can do, but right now I didn't see enough. The picks that we saw a lot of times, especially if Josh Freeman is going to Aqib's side, Aqib knows how to read Josh. Josh is still telegraphing what side of the field he's going to, and Aqib was just owning him. He just absolutely has to stop doing that, right? And the coaching staff has got to get on him. I'm sorry about harping on it, but it's absolutely the case. What else? Aurelius Ben popped a couple times. Nice diving catch in the end zone on a slant. Mike Williams was absolutely manhandling E.J. Biggers in the corner on one play. So, I made the comment about Fitzgerald and Bolden on the show the other night. I do think there's going to be some comparisons drawn, and I think when you see these guys play, it's going to be more and more obvious. On the bubble screen, they are working that in there, and they were running it with Sammy Strotter today, and this was the one where Penn came over and knocked Quincy Black the hell out. Very nice route. Very nice, well-executed play. Let's put it that way. The route's not that fancy, but it was well-executed, got good yards. We saw the offense able to move the ball down the field. Out routes, slant routes, bubble screens, screen passes. I didn't see a whole lot of long balls today, but in general, I thought the accuracy was much, much better. The right side of our offensive line, when they were doing 9-on-9s for running plays, was getting good push, which was nice to see. Other notes. The backs all look good coming out of the backfield catching the ball. I had soft hand notes down here for Cadillac, Derek, and for Huggins, who got more snaps today, obviously with Clifton Smith not not in there, which was good for him. He gets the extra reps. Bad for Clifton, bad for Urrutia, both who missed that. On the final 11 on 11s, we had a nice play out to Cadillac Williams, a square in to Sammy Strouder behind the linebacker blitz. I'm not sure if that was an audible or not, but the blitz came from that side. They threw the square in behind it. He was wide open, and it was great pickup of the blitz between Davin Joseph and Jeremy Trueblood. They communicated very well, gave Josh Freeman the time to make the throw, and it was a big gainer downfield. It absolutely was. And I'm wrong. It was not Quincy Black that Penn crushed. It was Styles G. White. He came and crashed down and really sprung Strouder for a nice gain. So that was nice to see. That's really about all of the notes I've got from today. Like I said, an excellent practice. I'm sorry for the tardiness. I'll do another one of these after the Saturday night practice, but I don't have a whole lot of hope that we're going to get a lot of detail or intel on that. I think it's going to be more about the fans getting a chance to go out and see things, which will be nice for them, bad for us. Hopefully Mark is going to open up some more practices. I'm going to try and get as much intel as I can, and if he doesn't, then the next time you'll see a video with any inside information will be after the 17th practice when I'll be there. Hopefully you guys liked it. Comment it up. We'll be live on WhatTheBuc.net Monday night at 7 or 7:30. Just keep an eye on our Twitter account or on our Facebook page for when that'll be. Thanks again.